The very first one is about your book, Tom. It's the book Born to Win. So the premise of the book is that people are born to win. So what I want to understand is, if everyone's born to win, why do people lose?
Yeah, so the famous quote that the book is based on is, you were born to win, but in order to be the winner you were born to be, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and then and only then can you expect to win. So there's a little known story from Dad when he was starting off, and this is probably like 1965, way back when his speaking is just starting. And he gets an opportunity to speak in a city that's about a 4-hour drive from where he is. And he's going to drive 4 hours, he's going to speak, and he's going to drive home 4 hours, and it's going to be for free, right? So he's paying the gas, he's going, and he takes off. He likes to get there a couple hours early, and he gets into the place where he's going, and he can't find it. So he stops and he gets directions. And a person wrote the directions down, and they had a little uniform on that with their name. And so he sounded like a local, and Dad followed those directions to the T. And then 45 minutes later, he was 30 miles further away. And so he had a choice. Should I give up? And because now I'm going to be, my reputation is ruined, and I'm just getting started, and now I'm going to be categorized as not dependable. Or should I go and get new directions? So he went and got new directions. He got there on time because he was going to be there 2 hours early anyway. But here's the question. Was it his fault that he was given the wrong directions? No. And so most people who struggle in life were given the wrong directions, or no directions at all. And they develop an identity or a belief that I'm a loser. And they need, and so what we say is, wait a second. How do you know? Could it be you were given the wrong directions? Could it be if you started developing the right things? But that's a shift, right? And so what happens is a life event, a trauma, an experience. If you fixate on it and you start thinking on it and you go in the negative vein, it becomes a belief. And then that belief turns into an identity, right? And so what we've got to do is go into the mind and their thinking, and we've got to redo it. So why do some people lose? A big piece of it is they were given bad directions. They never.
So essentially what you're saying there is everyone's born to win. It's just that a lot of people don't know that they were born to win. So they sort of get the wrong mindset.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. There's a story, I think, in Born to Win about the two sons, and they were twins, and they interviewed the one, and he was in prison, and they said, "Why are you in prison?" And he said, "Well, my dad was an abusive alcoholic. I watched him beat my mother. He beat me, and why else wouldn't I be in prison?" And they went to the other twin son, and they said, "Hey, you own multiple businesses. You donate all this money to nonprofits. You're a community leader. Why is that?" And he said, "Well, my father beat me when I was a child. I watched him beat my mother, and I determined I was going to be the opposite of my father." So it's.
I've got a follow-up question to that, if I may, Tom.
Sure.
Doesn't that sort of simply put the responsibility elsewhere, i.e., it's not my fault, it's somebody else's fault?
I think, well, maybe I should get clarification on that. They both had the same experience. and they were twins, but they chose to respond to that experience in completely different ways. And so I think anytime it's like the difference between a handout and a hand up, right? The difference between a victor or a victim. Victims will say, it's not my fault, look at the circumstances against me. And a victor will say, hey, I did it anyway, right? I overcame that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really the how we choose to respond to it. One of Dad's quotes is, it's not what happens to you in life that matters. It's how you respond to what happens to you that matters.
So you can have a great upbringing or a crap upbringing, but how you then, what you do with that, the paradigm is kind of created, or a map is created in your mind, but you can choose to unmap that.
And there's examples from both sides. There's people who've had the crap upbringing who go on to things that are unbelievable. Like, how did that happen? Yeah. And then there are people who have every privilege and they screw it up. You know, it's like,